How's it going, everyone? Welcome. Elier Gonzalez here. So let's explore now at this concept of the containing block and how do we get here. But that instead of reading at the Josh Comua course about the CSS for JavaScript developer and so on and so forth, which is something that I want to do as I go on into this course, but is to explore the spec by reading it and to make sense, which is what am I gonna do in today's video, right? So over the past couple days and even videos, I want to look at the CSS. So what is the CSS? The origin of CSS? Why? What are the things that are still relevant in 2026? But first is the fundamental of CSS. What is that? Why can we use this? And that is exploring at, come on, oh my god, is this, right? It's exploring at this. Is there any way that I can look at this? Exactly like this. And there you got it. All right. How can I get there? I can navigate through a style, but this is the CSS home. Interesting. All right. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. It's the CSS, and even in the W3C, which is the triple web consortiums that oversee and develop standards and guidelines, right? Most of those are coming from, well, top tech companies and working with the stakeholders, right? For including several web platforms or areas or industry, e-commerce, media entertainment, and publishing, and several other areas. So let me see if I can now here, because they're developing all of these standards. Web standards are blueprints or building block of a consistent and harmonious digital connected world. They are implementing in browsers, blogs, search engines, and other software that power our experience on the web. So yeah, right. So web standard for the future.
The web is amazing. You can play games with friends on different continents. Find answers to any question in seconds. See a live feed of our planet from space. Translate languages with a single click. Share a recent photo from a fun trip, or tell everyone you know about your cool new job. But it wasn't always like this. It wasn't always a beautiful, infinite world of knowledge and activity. It's easy to forget how disconnected we were before the web. It was a lot harder to find and share information. So many of our online experiences today are powered by standards under the hood, the fruits of years of collaboration. Without developers working together, we would need different browsers to view different sites, and search engines would be much less powerful if the web were split into silos. In fact, it's safe to assume that without today's connected tech landscape, we'd probably be in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, fending off maniacal desert gangs and watching our civilization crumble into a seemingly endless vacuum of nothing. A word of advice: nobody ever beats zombies alone. This glorious web is our collective responsibility, and we need to treat it as such. It's a rich, valuable digital world, but it wouldn't hold together without the standards we use every day. So, how can we take care of it? By taking action. By coding, writing, designing, discussing, and defending the open web. Thank you for supporting web standards. Please help us shape the next era. Join our efforts to build an open web.
Okay, so that was part of the marketing campaign. Value of creating standards at W3C. W3C. Since 1994, the W3C has been since 1994, and let me be clear about this because this is where all of this came from, and especially with Tim Berners-Lee, right? Tim Berners-Lee, which is the founder of the World Wide Web, or the HTML here, the URL systems and HTTP. And holy moly, sir, thanks for all of your efforts, bro. Because if it wasn't for you, I will be in now a country, Venezuela, subjugated to that, and perhaps doing manual things, or carving minerals like coltan, gold, or silvers, and trying to escape from the government, or fighting the government, and so on and so forth. So instead of doing that, I now is not only fighting, but the fight has changed. The fight has now is an understanding, if on clarity, and this has never been a fight. This is just a matter of desire. So the web, what invites me when I expose myself to all of this kind of content, was to invite myself to understand more about the true nature of our human, and especially in this world that we live here on Earth, right? And all the different challenges that different cultures have passed through it, Chinese or Asian cultures. So North and South Korea, also from Southeast Asia, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand. Sorry if I forgot a couple of them. Also in Australia, the Europe, so UK, France, Germans, Switzerland, Russia, and all the different satellite cities, or states that was created after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. Spain, Italy, Greece, also the Middle East, which now they're currently going to rebrand that into West Asia, something like that. In any ways, as a part of the geopolitical struggle that has currently happened, also Africa, South America, and a lot of the challenge that we have different people across this world has passed through this, especially in the Americas, from the north to south, Canada, United States, and all the different countries that are below here. So you have now Cuba, Curacao, Mexico, Honduras, El Salvador, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Suriname, something like that. Sorry if I don't remember all of them. Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, Argentina. So all of this, and despite that I mentioned is all of these different continents, is not now live on the trivial side. It's not for just sounds good or smart at cocktail party. It's because it is real. And when something's are true, it generates now transformation. Transformation in the understanding of the current affair of situations. And one of them is to understand now how the US reached to the point there is, why, for example, people like Tim Berners-Lee actually create and develop this, the origins not only of the HTML, this document that we can transmit over different computers using now this network, right? But the origins of all of this research and development by tracing back to the DARPA as a response to what the Soviet did back in 1946 when they launched the first satellites across the globe, which cost, I think that DARPA in 1957, exactly, in 1957, right, as a response of the Soviet Sputnik 1 in 1957, right? So all of this, right, is just to describe that at the end of the day, the whole story here is the story of humanity and the story of the mind, which is something that we share across different shapes and colors, and no matter the human. So so with that, right, so thanks to him that it creates that, and it was in 1991, let me see if this exactly in 1989 he created this, all right. It was the largest internet node in Europe, and Berners-Lee saw an opportunity to join hypertext with the internet, right? I just have to take the hypertext idea and connect it into the TCP and DNS ideas, and tada, the worldwide. So how you can transmit this kind of data across different computers, all right, and how you can locate those documents over this network via the DNS, and there you got is this. So so now so okay, so why am I mentioning this? Because this has been all the heavy lifting and efforts of all of this. Wait, what? It's a Canadian born British. Oh, is divorce, man? Okay, divorce. Divorce, and now he's currently with Rosemary Blair here. Interesting. Tim Berners-Lee. Lady Berners-Lee is a Canadian-born British director of both for-profit and non-profit orgs. She co-founded the World Wide Web Foundation in 2009. Holy moly! With Sir Tim Berners-Lee, who she married in 2014. So they have 3 children and 2 stepchildren from a previous marriage. There is a British Canadian business executive and company directors. Interesting. Graduated with an MBA and from IMD in Lassus, Switzerland. He qualified as a chartered accountant in PwC in 1981. But in any case, this is not the story of a technical paper. It's also the people that are the human aspect involved into this. So that's great, right? So that's great. Yep, absolutely. That was back in 2009, right? So a couple of years might have passed, as you can see here, right? And there you got it. So okay, Rosemary Leaf. So she found is the so she is the founder with Berners-Lee of the World Wide Web Foundation, which is quite different to the consortium not to be confounded with the consortium. So the consortium was founded in 19... Interesting. But this is for charity and stuff like that. Tim Berners-Lee, and you get the idea behind that. Right? That's interesting. So the Web War Foundation. Interesting. So, okay, Web Foundation here. Can you open it? Oh, come on. For real? Jesus, anyway. Anyway, so this consortium was founded in 1994 by Tim Berners-Lee. All right. The consortium is made of a members organization that maintain full-time staff working together in the development of technical standards. One of those standards is the CSS, and you also have the HTML that is now merged with this another technical group that oversees the developing of web hypertext applications technology. They are now founded by, or their members are part of the Opera, Mozilla, Apple, and some of these major browser vendors. So the whole point of this is that you're not just, oh my God, for real? Jesus, anyway. Any French those way. Any French those way. So there's some errors on the server. Anyway, it doesn't work. Oh my God. So this is the World Wide Web Consortium, right? So it was founded back then, okay? And this is the people that actually are backing this, all right? So this oversees several standards, and one of them is the styling here. So if you navigate very quickly here, W3C standards and draft. About the web standard, I think is this. So what are web standards? Let me go back here real quick to make sense of this. Okay, so now they're working is with stakeholders, right? Discover how W3C support business ecosystem. So let's read about this. So the W3C develops standards and guidelines to help everyone build and enjoy a web based on the principle of accessibility. This is why you have now that kind of guidelines. Internationalization, privacy and security, right? Allegedly, right? Allegedly. Allegedly. Private advertising technology working group. Okay, the technology working group. Global privacy control, private advertising, and so on and so forth. Got it. Again. Okay, so this is allegedly what are the principles they stand upon? Accessibility, internationalization, right? It is easier to overlook the need of people in cultures different of your own, of who use the language as it is.
You've built a fantastic website. It works perfectly for your local audience. Now, you want to go global. So you hire a translator, swap up the text, and you're done, right? Unfortunately, it's not that simple. If you've ever seen something like this, you've seen the failure of internationalization. Hi, I'm Fu Qiaoxue, and I lead the World Wide Web Consortium's internationalization activity. At the W3C, we help create the standards that make the web work for everyone, everywhere. In this video, I'm going to introduce two core concepts: internationalization and localization. Let's start with the big one, internationalization. We often shorten it to I18N. That's I, then 18 letters, then N. It's a bit of developer shorthand. I18N is the process of designing your code and content so it can be easily adapted to various languages, writing systems, and regions. Now, what about localization? We call that L10N. L, 10 letters, N. Localization is the process of actually adapting your product for a specific market. Or
This is the reason why I'm actually reading at the spec, and looking at the source of here.
look how. This is where translation happens. But it is also where you adapt graphics, change currencies, and use the correct local formats for things like dates and addresses. So, the key difference, internationalization is designing for potential. Localization is delivering for reality. So what does this foundation, this internationalization, actually include? It's so much more than just leaving space for text. First, character encoding. If your system doesn't support the global character set, Unicode, text in languages like Japanese, Hindi, or Arabic can turn into gibberish. Second, styling and layout. Some languages, like German, have much longer words. Others, like Arabic or Hebrew, are written from right to left.
Like what?
Layout. Some languages, like German, have much longer words. Others, like Arabic or Hebrew,
or Farsi. But he mentioned it's Arabic. Arabic or Hebrew
are written from right to left. A well-internationalized site adapts its layout automatically. Third, forms. Not everyone has a first name and a last name. In Hungary, the family name comes first. In Iceland, people may use patronymics. A global-ready form needs to be flexible, and this applies to so much more. Like dates and numbers, is this December the 1st or January the 12th?
Or January the 12th.
And how you write prices is critical. In the US, this is $1,234.56. But in Germany, the same price would be written like this, with the separator swapped and using the euro symbol. If you get this wrong, you're displaying a completely different number. It's a small detail that makes a world of difference for user trust. Internationalization also applies to web addresses. Thanks to Internationalized Resource Identifiers, or IRIs, web addresses can include characters from scripts all around.
Internationalizations. So now this is not a resource.
Also applies to web addresses. Thanks to Internationalized Resource Identifiers,
Okay. Internationalized Resource Identifiers,
or IRIs, web addresses can include characters from scripts all around the world. Let's put it all together. A poorly internationalized website, when localized for Saudi Arabia, might just translate the text. The layout will be broken because it's still left to right. The prices will be in dollars, and the date format will be confusing. But a well-internationalized website, when localized, looks and feels native. The layout is right to left, the currency is Saudi riyals, the calendar uses the local Hijri system, and the language is perfect. That's the power of thinking globally from the start. You build one flexible system, that's INTN, that can support dozens of local experiences. That's L10N. Making the web work for everyone is at the heart of the W3C's mission. It's not just about technology. It's about connecting people and cultures. By building a solid internationalization foundation, you're showing respect for users around the world. Thanks for watching.
So again, this is why I'm actually reading about this. Okay. So one thing is accessibility and internationalization, which is split on the localization. What are the products for product experience per culture, and the internationalization is the principles, the guidelines that are gonna use across different localizations. And the other is the accessibility. All right. So you're not only building applications; it's for people who have eyes and ears, but also for people who doesn't have that. So they want is to lift the barriers and to provide more access to the content here. This is what you have now, the WAG, the Web Accessibility Initiative, for that. And things like ARIA, which is Accessible Rich Internet Accessible Internet Rich Applications, that is defining is all of this standard of accessibility. One of them is the ARIA guidelines, or the the ARIA authoring practice is one of them, but the other is what is this, which is Accessible Rich Internet Applications, which is a set of web standards for that. Whether it's the authoring practice, okay, and this is revealing certain patterns that web authors have to build, or that are recurrence across different content. And then you have the ARIA standard here, Accessible Rich Internet Applications. Why do they call WAI, right? Accessible Rich Internet Applications. And again, things started to make a ton of sense. Okay, by looking and exploring is the origin of this. Then you have now privacy, okay, but please don't make, okay.
This wouldn't be a talk from a privacy person without me revealing a bunch of personal data about me. So for some of you, I am a new face. As Philippe said, I joined in September, but this is a bit of a reunion of sorts because I actually was one of the founding co-chairs of the Privacy Interest Group back in 2012. So it's a bit of a homecoming for me. But I've had a lot of other privacy roles before I came here in a lot of different places. So I was in industry doing privacy engineering work at Apple and at Google, and doing privacy engineering and research over at Cloudflare. I also had some time in academic research. So my PhD and my postdoc work was in usability around privacy and security. I also did a Master of Laws in law and technology with a focus on privacy. And I spent time in the government in Canada at their regulator at the Office of the Privacy Commissioner of Canada. So wore a lot of different hats, worked in different industries, looked at different aspects of the privacy issues. And
especially for the tech companies and for the business.
They're complex. And so I would say that having an interdisciplinary background really helps when you're trying to tackle a problem with this degree of complexity, with the human factors, and the policy and the technical aspects.
Three main aspects that you mentioned: human, policies, and technical challenge.
So today we only have a small number of minutes to go through some highlights of some of the work. So I'm going to focus on a couple of the new working groups that have been created end of last year, and some of the current and planned work, and a little update about the privacy principles. The first.
And a little update about the privacy principles. Okay, so let me read about this. Creating a more trustworthy web and protecting users' privacy is fundamental to creating a web that works for everyone. Privacy along with security are integral to human rights and civil liberty, and are essential to the subsets of the web platform. Today, so many of the features of the web and its usage involve information about people and their community and their communications, that privacy must be considered consistently across the design of the entire platform. The human factor and the socio-technical aspect and additional complexity. Okay. To affirmatively realize the privacy of people using the web and address privacy threat that has already arisen requires us to operate in an interdisciplinary and global space and develop dedicated privacy features. There's 1,000 ways to say nothing. The only thing is that is security is around is human rights and civil liberties, right? how W3C approach privacy on the web. We follow a recipe that is simple but which details are important. Review the privacy web standards. Advise W3C groups developing standards to mitigate privacy issues, and develop some private technology standards. Global privacy control define a signal transmitted over HTTP and through the DOM that conveys a person's request to website and service to not sell or share their personal information with third party. This standard is intended to work with existing and upcoming legal frameworks that render such a request enforceable. W3C launched the Private Advertise Working Group in late 2024, motivated by the Ethical Web Principles W3C statement to specify web features and APIs that support advertising while acting in the interest of users, in particular providing strong privacy assurance using predominantly technical means. W3C statement privacy principles. The privacy principles were elevated in May 2025. That was a year ago, bro. To W3C statement. Hey, what's up, bro? Hey. Which means that although the document is informative and not a formal standard in nature, it creates a stable reference that has been received formal review for that. So it is an informative, not a formal standard here. It is an informative principle for the web privacy, identity on the web, data minimization, information access, sensitive informations, data rights, de-identified data, collective privacy, device owners and administrators, protecting web users from abuse behavior, purpose limitation, transparency, consent, withdrawal of consent, opt-outs and objections, notification and interruptions, non-retaliation. People should be free to limit the amount of private information they share, to request that an actor limit the use of data already shared, and support choosing which informations to present. So this is this is part of the principle of privacy, and the other is on the security here. I know that this might be quite fuzzy at the beginning, but what I'm doing here is just reading about that. Privacy and security integral to human rights and civil liberties. So privacy and security are quite tightly involved here. And here you have several of them. You have the web application security, web authentication, federated identity. Federated identity. Interesting. Working group and web payment security interest group. Security web applications guidelines. So that'll be all for this video. So take care. Bye bye.